make me fall far away. I can't watch it anymore. She covers her face. You might call me hateful, bigoted and racist. I'll wait for the next train and reach my old ages. You can't fix a savage animal, rabid and damaged. Oh no. And guess what, my friend? Everything will be okay. Guess what day? What day? Yeah, it's hump day. Woo-hoo.
There's been some members like you, John Fetterman, who've just like come out front and been like, no, like we're not going to use this as an opportunity to attack Charlie further or to celebrate his death. And I think that that's like a rock bottom basement that we can like build from, actually, that political violence is wrong, and that we shouldn't celebrate it, and we shouldn't want more of it, right?
Absolutely. I mean, that unequivocal condemnation of the violence, empathy for people who have suffered from it, the ability to condemn violence to you, to your family, threats of violence.
Yeah,
I mean, unambiguously thinking how we tone down and understand how we bring down the temperature in this country. You know, I mean, I've condemned, I got in some hot waters on Hugh Hewitt, and I said that the attorney general who was running in Virginia, that those tweets were beyond the pale, that I can support him in good conscience when he's threatening to kill the Speaker of the House and texting that. I mean, that's not a high bar. But at the same time,
You call for him to drop out of the race, Jay Jones?
I don't call for him to. I never call for anyone to drop out, but I said that I wouldn't support him. I don't endorse him. I don't support him, and I condemn those tweets. But it's for the people to decide in terms of whether it's Republican, Democrat. We have a democracy. It's like people who are calling for Donald Trump to drop out because he had charges. Or I just think we need to be clear that that I wouldn't. If you called me up today and said, "Would you endorse me?" I wouldn't endorse them. I don't support them. But at the same time, the group chat, I mean, I know people have dismissed this, but, you know, you have these 20, 30-year-old folks talking about insults to people who are Jewish, to people.
Before we get to that, because I'm happy to talk about that. And I want to obviously talk about the differences between the two of them. But Jay Jones, he texted Republicans that he wanted to kill them. He wanted to shoot them with bullets. He called them and harassed them, and then he said he wanted to kill their children.
Right.
Called their children little fascists. This is the exact same thing that happened to me, and a man is now in prison for it, a Californian man from San Diego. And he's in jail for doing the same thing, threatening my family and threatening to kill me. And so how do you parse the difference there between the results? Because Jay Jones, who did that to a Republican, is on the ballot in Virginia and still has a considerable amount of Democrat support. I haven't seen Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or Nancy Pelosi call for him to drop out of the race or even to condemn. Actually, he still has the full support of the DNC, the DCCC. How do you square that? Because what that says to someone like me is we're going to like selectively choose, where we find condemnation for this. We actually don't think that's wrong. Abigail Spanberger hasn't called for him to drop out. I mean, that seems like the lowest possible threshold is like, you shouldn't be asking for people to die, asking for Republicans to be killed.
Look, I don't think he should be supported. I mean, that's, and I don't think we should be endorsing him because of what those texts were pretty horrible. Now, I don't think you would say he should be prosecuted. The guy who threatened you should be prosecuted because there was a actionable intent to actually harm you. And we have a broad First Amendment in this country for a reason. But there's a difference between saying someone's speech may be protected under the First Amendment and that we should be supporting them as a political candidate. Yeah. But Benny,
it's refreshing to hear someone say it, though. I mean, I guess it's refreshing to hear. I'm not trying to put the screws to you. I appreciate the fact that you're able to just disavow it.
Yeah, and look, I'm sure there'll be some people upset at me because they'll say, it's a close race and he's on the ballot, and are you not going to endorse him or support him, given that it's neck and neck? And no, I can't. I can't support someone who threatens violence in that way. And it's not like it's not like, okay, the next day he woke up and then he texted, "I'm really sorry, I was having a moment," right? It's 3 years later. That's not the type of politics. But let me ask you this, because I want to, why on the left the hurt in terms of these issues, and take Kirk out of it, because obviously he was murdered and sympathies, and you were a genuine friend of his and his family, and I know that's been painful. When you look at the issues that the left has been hurt by, this idea of the civil rights movement, right, and the Civil Rights Act, and this that overcomes segregation in the South. And I was talking to someone the other day who said, when he grew up in the South, he couldn't go through the front door of the restaurant. He used to go through the back door, but it didn't really matter because he was too poor to buy anything. And growing up in the South, black meant being black and poor. And then we have Dr. King. We have the civil rights movement. Now we have the end of Jim Crow. You have the Immigration Reform Act that allows people like my parents to come to the United States. I'm born in Philadelphia. Do you see how people would be hurt if it's anyone saying, well, we don't believe in the Civil Rights Act, or, if anyone's an African-American woman in a high place like Ketanji Jackson Brown, we're questioning their intelligence. Yeah. I'm saying, I'm trying to, because in the spirit of having this honest conversation, I'm telling you where that hurt comes from.
And I've said it before, but I'll say it now. Like, I love that we're having this conversation. You can't fix the country if you can't have conversations like this. I hope that more Democrats come on the show and we can have more civilized conversations and have more spirited debate, because that's the only way that you start seeing each other as human, actually. Right. It's easy when it's an avatar. Right. When it's like a meme online, right? When it's something that's not inhuman, but I'm a human being. I have kids. I have real children that I'm really raising. I'm just a dad. I'm just a normal dude. Right? Just like everybody else, like just like you. And you're talking about people's feelings being hurt, or someone's like core beliefs.
Right.
That's important. Okay. And that's the level that we have to talk about. I'm talking about people getting shot and killed. That's a different level of hurt.
Sure.
So when the president takes a bullet to the head, that's hurt. When Corey Compertor gets killed in front of his wife and children, that's hurt. When Charlie Kirk gets struck in the neck and killed, that's hurt, and millions of people see it. That's actual hurt. That's physical violence. When a church in Minneapolis gets shot up, right? And the children praying there are killed. That's hurt. When ICE facilities get shot up by snipers with anti-ICE iconography carved in the bullets, that's hurt.
Right.
Right. This is hurt. And so in order to get to the next level of politics where we talk about these issues, right? Marginal tax rates and healthcare, right? In the Civil Rights Act, you have to stop the kill. You have to stop the physical killing,
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely.
Before you can even talk about that stuff.
But
so they don't exist. They don't exist in the same plane. One is esoteric and is a policy, and the other one is war, right? And so when Jay Jones, I want to bring this all back to Jay Jones, when there's a Democrat on the ballot in Virginia to be the top law enforcement agent of that state, and there are 3 million Democrats registered in Virginia, and millions of them vote for a man that says he wants to kill Republicans and their children because they're little fascists. What message is that sending? And when the Democrat Party can't disavow that individual, well, what message is that sending to Republicans? You want to talk about hurt, Congressman? That's hurt. And it's no longer something that is esoteric. It's something that's physically happening. We're witnessing it happening. I just saw it happen to my family 3 days ago, right, with the DOJ
Which is
charges.
horrific.
Yeah. So it's like these are real. When somebody shows you who they are, believe them. You know,
Benny,
these are real. That's real hurt. And so I think that's a major divide in the country right now, right? Because from a Republican standpoint, from a conservative standpoint, we're seeing the actual physical bullets and the actual, death of generational leaders. Our president taking a bullet to the head.
Look, I mean, look, what happened to the president and every Democrat, including President Biden, Vice President Harris, condemned within hours the horrific assassination attempt at Butler. The 99% of elected Democrats condemned the horrific assassination of Charlie Kirk. But you would agree that this violence has not been one-sided, right? I mean, I guess, the vice president and I have debated a lot, Vance, but one of the things that I was disappointed is for him to say, well, it's all the violence on the left. What about, and I don't want to make it a whataboutism, but what about when Nancy Pelosi's husband, Paul Pelosi, was beaten with a hammer in his house? What about the assassination?
Well, hold on.
Let me just finish. What about the assassination?
That guy's kids describe him as a leftist. He lived in a trailer with a BLM sign.
The assassination in Minnesota.
Hold on.
What about Gretchen Whitmer and the governor and militias who captured her? What about the threat?
You're saying all these things, but you're not giving me you're casting these stuff. This happened to me on cable news the other night when they said, well, what about the Pulse nightclub shooting? That's right-wing violence. That was ISIS violence, bro. That has nothing to do with the right wing. They're not the right wing if I disavow them. And Nancy Pelosi's attack. So let's start on the level. It's horrible to attack Paul Pelosi in his home. That was awful. I disavow that violence entirely.
President Trump should have disavowed it more clearly. I mean, he was kind of mocking it.
So that man has a very unique story. And if you actually want to get down into the details, his family describes him as a left-wing environmentalist who supported Democrats. He lived inside of a house with BLM signs in it. So you're saying you're ascribing that as right-wing violence. It's not right-wing violence, I don't think.
I'm not saying
either way. I disavow it. It's not even hard for me, right?
Are you willing to criticize President Trump's reactions to John McCain, to Paul Pelosi, to the absence of condemnation when the Minnesota?
I'm not here to speak for the president. I'm here to speak for myself. And I respect the fact that you're speaking for yourself with Jay Jones.
Right.
But
I guess the point is that there's in this country, and I'm not saying that there aren't problems on our side. There's in this country a feeling that that violence has taken place against people on the left. I'm not saying that literally by someone on the right, but that the leaders of the right, from the president on down, have not been as unequivocal in condemning that as they should be.
But come on, we both have like functional brain stems and eyeballs. You can see that the vast majority of the modern political violence is on the left, and that's what all available data shows.
That's what the ADL does.
That is
reporting.
You can't use the ADL because the ADL uses prison violence and ascribes white nationalist prison violence as right-wing hate. We disavow that entirely. That's not part of our movement. You can't bundle that data together. I refuse to acknowledge that data on this program.
The point is, what is the gain from even arguing whether it's left or right is more to blame? Why not just come together and say
that it's all wrong? Totally.
And
it's all wrong. And I can tell you this as a matter of fact, if a Republican was running right now that said that Democrat children should be slaughtered because they're little communists,
right,
and that I want to kill Democrats, I would be calling for that person to be banished from the party. I'd say that's absolutely, totally morally repugnant and indefensible. And what I'm saying right now is that the Democrats have a man who's running for the chief law enforcement position in Virginia. It's a big, powerful state.
Right.
Half the federal government's in that state. And, he hasn't been, it's barely even been covered. And so that signals that it's appropriate. That's all. I don't want the signal that that's appropriate.
That's fine. But
this is why I want the guy. That's why I'm glad the guy was arrested, that came after my family. I want a signal that it's important that we can't tolerate this in society.